All right. Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay, so that's a good thing. And so I think that we have a couple of people visiting from Brisbane from the museum. And so I think that you would like to talk about the museum and also to make to present a tanka. Geshe is wondering if you would like to do it at the beginning or the end. The end. Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay. And so let's start the recording and with all those computers, it seems that I'm doing the stock market. Anyway, and so we're going to start with Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga and then correct motivation with refuge and bodhicitta. So if you know those recitations, you're definitely welcome to join in. And if not, just kick back and relax. It's going to be all right. And so let's start with Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga. From the heart of the sever of the 100 deities of the Shida, on the peak of a cloud resembling a clump of extremely white fresh curd, King of Dharma, Nissen Losson Drakpa, please come here together with your sons. In the sky before me on lying throne, lotus and moon, my perfect pure Guru smiles with delight. Supreme field of merit from a mind of faith, please abide for 100 eons to spread the teachings. Your holy mind is the intelligence that understands the full extent of objects to be known. Your holy speech with its excellent explanation is an ear ornament for those of good fortune. Your holy body is radiantly beautiful with glory renowned. To you are meaningful to see, hear, and remember are prostrate. Pleasant drinking water, various flowers, fragrant incenses, light-scented waters, and so forth. Ocean of cloud-like offerings, both actually arranged and mentally emanated, I offer to you the supreme field of merit. Whatever non-virtue of body, speech, and mind, especially those opposite to the three vows that I've collected from beginningless time, I confess each and every one with fervent regret from my heart. You strove for much learning and practicing in this degenerate age and made your freedoms and richnesses meaningful by abandoning the 8 worldly concerns. Sever, we sincerely rejoice in your extensive deeds. Perfect pure holy gurus from the billion clouds of wisdom and compassion in the sky of the Dharmakaya, please let fall a rain of profound and extensive Dharma upon the receptacles of those to be subdued exactly as they need. May whatever virtue of collected benefited teachings and all transmigrate greater beings, and in particular may cause the essence of perfect pure loss of Drakpa's teachings to shine forever. Sa shi po ki jun shi me to Tam Ri Ra Ling Shi Ni De Yen Ka Di San Ye Shin Du Mi Te O Wa Gi Do Ku Nam Da Shin La Chu Pa Sho. For the merits of having offered this mandala to Lama Tsongkhapa and his 2 sons, may I, my family members, and all sentient beings be able to meet, practice, and actualize the teachings of the victorious Son Losson Drakpa, where the morality of an eminently pure way of life was courageous and extensive conduct of the sons of the victorious ones, and accomplished the yoga of 2 stages of supreme bliss and emptiness. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniyatayami. By the force of having fervently requested in this way, whole of beings of white light are emitted from the hearts of the perfect pure Father and Sons, and combining into one enter my crown. White nectar, the color of milk, flows from the opening of the tube of white light, cleansing all my sicknesses, spirit humps, negative karmas, obscurations, and the imprints without exception. My body becomes as pure and clear as crystal. We will recite the 5-line Mixima verse in page 13. Mi metse wete chen chen rezi, jime kembe wampo jampe yang, dupo malu jangzen Saweda, Kanchen Kembe Tsungye Tsunga Pa, Losandra Pesha Blasowa de Mimetse Chen Chen Rezi, Jime Kembe Wampo Jampeyan, Dupo Malu Jamze Saweda, Kanchen Kembe Tsungye Tsunga Pa, Losandra Pesha Blasowa de Mimetse Chen Chen Rezi, Jime Kembe Wampo Jampeyan, Dupo Malu Jamze Saweda, Kanchen Kembe Tsungye Tsunga Pa, Losandra Pesha Blasowa de.
Sanji Chedan Tsojin Chonum La Chanchu Bardu Dani Gyalsun Che Dagi Cheshi Jibon Zeda Drola Benche Sanji Drupara Sho Sanji Chedan Tsojin Chonum La Chanchu Bardu Dani Gyalsun Che Dagi Cheshi Jibon Zeda Drola Benche Sanji Drupara Sho Sanji Chedan Tsojin Chonum La Chanchu Bardu Dani Gyalsun Dagi Cheshi Jibon Zeda Drola Benche Sanji Drupara Sho Kangi Tuzini Zone Tawa Tamche Pambi Chere Tambi Chun Denze Kwadam Jela Chance Lo. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, teacher La. Welcome. Ani Consola de Yonya Gasius and Kings.
So Geshe is really happy to see you here today.
Heading on the Zapasang Laya Chachingi and then Lamrim and the Conde and it Lamatsungabi, Laminanger Sonshaya, Lamatsungabi Sonsha Yuk, and then Lamrim Che Jing Chong Suyabinan, Lamrim Jing Tonema, and then on the Lamrim Water Rodigueris.
And so on the Friday morning teachings, we've been looking at Lama Tsongkhapa's presentation of the steps of the path of enlightenment. So we began this session with reciting the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsongkhapa. Lama Tsongkhapa is the author of the text that we've been studying here. And so Lama Tsongkhapa composed a great variety of texts. Of them, we have the presentations of the steps of the path of enlightenment. There is an extensive presentation, a middling presentation, and a bridged presentation. Here, in this set of teachings on the Friday morning, we've been looking at the middling presentation of the steps of the path of enlightenment.
Damanchagi Kingres, Raina, Lama Tsongkhapa Kandachi Islam, and Sanji Chu Yons Zoba, and a Kending Kemba and it's Nanzu Chetu, and it Yitolama, Sivu Shuch, Potchogi, and it couldn't share is. One time some Jimmy Kevagi, and it keep you on with the curious.
And so it is likely that most of you know about Lama Tsongkhapa. So if you wonder what kind of person was Lama Tsongkhapa? Well, first off, he had the knowledge, he understood the complete teachings of the Buddha. Not only he had that understanding, that knowledge, but also he put many things in writing. He composed 18 volumes of teachings based on the teachings of the Buddha. So we regard him as being a master scholar.
There Lama Tsongkhapa Tujundingi Pigita, Laminenji Chaundi, and the Mixima Dende. There is Laminenji Chandandodi, Chimin Kimbi Ombo Jambian, Jenrisi, and the Chana Dorji, Sumgi, and the Piggy, and to some chick to dune, and it mean number tenshawachik laya korangi lama jizun rendawa laya tindri chikpe ane gomni ane sotab dingi chik ane tar ane korang ya ane jizun jambi yanda pawachin risi ane chana doji sumgi ngong laya ane sangi dingi ane kiwich curious yacha gyatama the dindijis ra.
And so we regularly recite the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsongkhapa. So this is the recitation that we did at the beginning of this session. And so when we practice the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsongkhapa, when we recite that, we do that also in combination with a recitation of this verse that is here on the screen, and also for the students at home. So this is a verse that is called in Tibetan Miksema. It begins with Mikmetsewa, so altogether it is called Miksema, which is the verse that we use when we practice and sustain the Guru Yoga of Lama Tsongkhapa. And so as the lines of this verse are addressing Lama Tsongkhapa as Avalokiteshvara, the great treasure of non-objectifying compassion, Manjushri, master of stainless wisdom, Lord of secrets, destroyer of the entire host of matters, and Tsongkhapa, crown ornament of the sages of the land of snow. And so the sages, meaning kind of those crown ornaments of the scholars, of the skilled one from Tibet, from the land of snows. And so here in this verse, we regard Lama Tsongkhapa as being the entity or the nature of these three beings, Avalokiteshvara, Manjushri, and Vajrapani. This verse was composed by Lama Tsongkhapa himself, addressing his teacher, Jetsun Rendawa. So Lama Tsongkhapa regarded his teacher, Jetsun Rendawa, as being an embodiment or the nature of Avalokiteshvara, Manjushri, and Vajrapani. And in turn, Rendawa turned it to Lama Tsongkhapa. And regarding Lama Tsongkhapa as also embodying or being in the nature of those three beings, as Lama Tsongkhapa is also a person or a being that has become Buddha.
Terida dichiondige pige jidun jambi yang pabachirisi ani chana dorji shudeti kandaji yores laundi jidun jambi yang seti ya namji sherab class se godes sherab class kandas kirbares laundi ani sangi tamji tugyuki ani sherab chigduni la sharjawajilaya ani jidun jambi yang sigores la sharjawatelya jidun jambi yang ki tsen taksa ki shidi sangi tamji tugyuki sherab chigduni sul la sharjawatelya jidun jambi yang sigorma dili los chig jidun jambi yang se kiyomares and papacheris slaundi tagana papacheris laya ninjigla ani sangi tamji tugyuki tsewa ninji chambu chigduduni la sharjawatelya ani papacheris sen sen dus shuguyores ani chama dojis laundi sangi tamji ki pigigi nubajora kusun tuksun ki nubajora nubadi la sharjawatelya ani chama dojis deri kenan sogu ani de dindishya kutandi chama doji kutang res dindijliya da jerisik jambiya chama doji shugores
Chana
doji.
And so when we look at this verse, the Miksema verse, the verse from Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, it mentions Avalokiteshvara, Arya Avalokiteshvara, Manjushri, and Vajrapani, the Lord of Secrets. And so if we wonder what is Vajrapani, well, Vajrapani is a deity of wisdom. What makes Vajrapani a deity of wisdom, you might wonder? Well, it is the gathering of all the wisdom of all the Buddhas, and then that arising in the form of a deity, which is Manjushri. And so there's no Manjushri apart from the gathering of all the wisdom aspect of all the Buddhas arising in the form of a deity, which is called Manjushri. Similarly, we have Arya Avalokiteshvara, or in Tibetan Chenrezig, a deity of compassion. So again, all the compassionate love of all the Buddhas gathered together, arising in the form of a deity called Arya Avalokiteshvara, Arya Chenrezig. And then we have Vajrapani. And so the abilities, all the abilities or potentials or body, speech, and mind of all the Buddhas, this ability collected together, arising in the form of a deity, which is called Vajrapani. And so here we have two guests today from Brisbane, from the museum, and we believe that the tanka is of Vajrapani, right? Yeah.
어디래 대자다 지도 잠비야 파워체레시 아니 차마 도지 숨 비기다 직 투주 찍든 뒤네 수미 넘버 샤샤와 들려야 아니 겨중가 봐 단한주 간지 아니 미스미 손들 대운디게 고미야디 겨중가 봐디 아니 비기게 아니 릭스음 곰비게 다니 짐바질이야 아니 살담니 소와담니 아니 믹즈마 쟁고레스.
And so these three, Manjushri, Chenrezig, Avalokiteshvara, all of them brought together, Lama Tsongkhapa is embodying, or is a personification of these three. And therefore, in this recitation of the Mixima verse, the type of attitude that we develop in relation to Lama Tsongkhapa is called the Lama Tsongkhapa, or let's say the Lord Tsongkhapa, who is the embodiment of these three, which are also called the protectors of the three lineages. So Manjushri, Chenrezig, Avalokiteshvara, they are the protectors of the three lineages, coming together in one entity in the person that is called Lama Tsongkhapa.
Tere kanji Lama Tsongkhapa Laminenjos peki mixima ton sondep chewondi tengi nimbodi ani jawarik samgombolaya ani sotab deva tya peki tachik mi nambachi jawa Tsongkhapa ngolaya chendinge ba dindi jilaya ta ani sotab huyores ro tenza ngotrungi mi sosodro jimbayana nima takpa peki 아니 야오릭송 공부야 소담니 믹스만 친구를 그 자타를 마찰 와체진 게지무 신이 아니 드로딩에 진짜 자란속에 아니 tanga티 만나원도 지키 레상 것들어.
And so we think of these three, the protectors of the three lineages, and as we recite Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga verse and Mixima verse, we think of the meaning of that, those three Buddhas, or the three victors, the protectors of the three lineages, and through that we make supplications to Lama Tsongkhapa. And so Geshe, the one that is now explaining that, in that sense, the one that is introducing us to this practice of Guru Yoga of Lama Tsongkhapa, including the recitation of the Mixima verse, Geshe himself does this practice daily without a break. So every day, Geshe, in his personal practice, he combines also a Guru Yoga practice of Lama Tsongkhapa with the recitation of this verse, and he tries to accumulate hundreds of recitation daily, so at least one full round of mala, this rosary bead, of the recitation of the verse from Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga. And so then we're going to be presented with a tanka of Manjushri. So since Lama Tsongkhapa is also the embodiment of Manjushri, so to speak, and is also one entity with Manjushri, then this is unmistaken.
Manjushri.
Did I say Manjushri or Vajrapani? I said Manjushri. I meant to say Vajrapani.
어디래다 그래서 산지 추구에 산지 당한주 라므림데 산지 추구 님보지레스 그 산지 추구 나눠라야 개치슈디 아니 인지 셰럽 딩이다 기체슈 라 탑시니슨 기체슈 딩이 송제드 전에 아니 공부할 때니 타르 나는 좀 미순다지 바이네야 아니 상계여 버지 디츠고레스 라 디츠고레스다
And so here, as we're looking at this Guru Yoga of Lama Tsongkhapa, Lama Tsongkhapa taught the steps of the path of enlightenment, which provide us with the essence of the teachings of the Buddha Dhamma. And the most important aspects taught in this tradition of the Lamrim are wisdom and compassion, which means wisdom and the method. And so we combine the two, we unite the two in our meditation so that finally, it depends upon our meditation, we will become Buddhas. This is the type of consideration that we have to the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa, teaching the steps of the path of enlightenment. It depends upon them at the end, combining method and wisdom and compassion, we will become Buddhas.
terda manje kengerda ara ninji slaundi ani samjan tham chelaya manzu chik sokcha yodo cholaya chigyurki ani zebi zewajilaya ninji segores the di ani tham chelaya penanganzugi kem mashibi kawlaya ra manzu chik chakdangi 샤왕도 소미 카드려야 즉 소소 착사질이야 년지기 쳐가지다 소소 dansa질이야 즉 년지기 봐이나 년지기 묘 소리지 코데야디 아니 뉴몬비 드버레스 대응마 상담 봐이나 란다신 참말로 대원대버도 동간면 대봐 그 무빈내절이야 직부직야 인사 아니 참말이야 년지기 외버지 기 고야지 인자 딘지 톤다 아니 뭔그 산지 좀 된디고 쯧었다 남주진 기부초가 아니 탐질이야 아니 년지 검신이 아니 탈 아니 라니 비게다 년지 공라야 산지 잡아 딘지 장제 차가도 쓰러
And so since we said that the most important aspects in those teachings are the aspects of method and the aspect of wisdom and compassion, let's look at compassion. So compassion is extended to all living beings. We cultivate or sustain compassion equally to all sentient beings, an attitude of compassionate love. So not seeing this point, not understanding that, our mind is governed by anger and attachment. When we look at living beings, we do not hold them the same with an attitude of compassion, but we develop attachment to some and aversion to others, hostility towards others, which means that our mind is obscured by afflictive states of mind. But here, when we cultivate compassion, we cultivate an equal sense of compassion to all living beings with the recognition that all of them equally are seeking happiness and well-being, and all of them are the same in wishing to avoid suffering and pain. And therefore, all need compassion. All are suitable, appropriate objects of our compassion. And so those Buddhas, those great beings, intelligent beings, have seen the cultivation of compassion to all living beings, thereby resulting at the end in the attainment of Buddhahood.
Tenda sheriff slawandi legni number jibi namchulya sheriff segores legbat kare malegba kare takta ichitungi wanang muyo nesu kare demba kare chambu kare ro di hitta tungi ani namjudelya sheriff segores the dingi ro dingi sondre chigo dinzada di lelhaw marwasta lelhaw marwa the lelhaw mind 당한서 데리기 시작 증점 되는 레거스 렐라우 마이나야 아니 리버드림 거레스 아니 존리케 거레스 디톨야 시그도스로
And so the first aspect is compassion. The second aspect, the important aspect from the teachings, is wisdom. And the type of wisdom that we develop is the one that can clearly, correctly, precisely distinguish between what is positive and what is not positive, what is positive, what is negative, what is right and what is wrong. This is the type of wisdom that we develop, the one that can identify what is truth, what is the truth, with a sense of honesty or straightforwardness. This is the aspect of wisdom. And so we combine these two, wisdom and compassion. And this is not easy at all. It's not easy at all to cultivate these two. And so to do so, we need to become focused. We need to develop Joyce effort. And this is where we left off the text in our previous session. We've been looking at the perfection, the fourth perfection, the perfection of Joyce effort, which tells us that we need to spend a lot of effort in the cultivation of these aspects.
Terda dadinema yunguresra nganzugi dan samrodi pi jimbotsu sobatsun samde sherifse tik tuk nedundi rodewa dinangita tiri anzushesa di tsonju kaptu telaya levdeshas tsonju said.
And so in Lama Tsongkhapa's presentation of the steps of the path of enlightenment, we've reached the section of explaining the steps of the path of those of the great scope. And in that section, we are looking at the practice of the six perfections. So the six perfections, we have generosity, ethics, patience, Joyce effort, absorption, and wisdom. So of the six perfections, currently we're looking at the fourth one, which is the perfection of Joyce effort.
Dinani daji tsonju ane lodi susu gile kigodos ra tsonju di ane gewi chelaya trovadelaya tsonju segres gewi che chevalaya trovadelaya tsonju silawande da dindi gewi chelaya trovashive gewi che kharese da di da ranshin ki trevalegras ra.
And so in the context of the perfection of Joyce effort, the message that we get is that we need to generate Joyce effort. We need to generate it in our continuum. And so Joyce effort is explained to be to be enthused about virtuous dhammas, to delight in virtuous dhamma. Since this is the meaning of Joyce effort, to be enthused about virtuous dhamma, the question that arises in our mind, this is the question that needs to arise in our mind: what are virtuous dhammas? What does it mean?
Tirda tare gevichus lawandi ta demba denjang jora demba denjang di gevichures tambu danjang di gevichures ani shenla ya pento khang chewati gevichures shenla ya manwa chetian gevichures ro odirda kanji lunga yisum toni ani 장부 지야 덴바 지야 셴라 편도 지야 셴라 만노에 지야 어디 기위치레스 다디 체발이야 뉴문 착당 숙치비 갑둘라 갈레요라더라 페나 아니 깨자지 장부장제 셰발이야 공시왕기 그 된다 매나야 준시에 대해서 소바 당한줄에 연구요라서라 이내야 디파 아니 준시에는 편도 매반자 준시에니 미생기 이체라야를 소보다 딘지스마도 그 편도 매반자 디파 domni 가주 툭툭이 깨자 덴바 덴전 셰가 돌아야 배준지에디 준주레스 베나 벤로즈레 라.
And so these virtuous dhammas that we become enthused about have to do with being truthful, being honest, to be of benefit to others as much as we can, to abstain from harming others. All of these are virtues, virtuous dhamma. And so with our body, speech, and mind, physically, verbally, mentally, we behave in an honest way, in a truthful way. We benefit others with our body, speech, and mind. We abstain from harming them physically, verbally, or mentally. All of this is what we call virtues, dharmas. And so to do so, we need to work hard, for our mind is often governed by strong forms of anger and attachment, and so forth, and therefore the work or the practice is hard. So, for example, when we think of virtuous dharma in terms of speaking honestly, and so although we want to be honest in the way that we speak, sometimes without any purpose, due to previous habituation, we end up telling lies. Although you might say that there's not a great purpose, great need to do so, we end up doing it. And there's no benefit. There's no benefit in doing that. And also on top of that, we become someone that is not trustworthy, that others lose the trust that they have in us. And so to work hard on virtuous dharma would mean to try as much as we can with effort to speak the truth, to be honest. This is one of the examples of using Joyce effort in relation to a speech.
Terda ra give choosing that dembadi imbadi pigi jitsi tadu korana wala sanji chula ya shi dembani lam tabshi ni jebukunis o dirda di ganla da ra sanji bi chu chingi jimbayna nedun di ganla ya phago dasra shi dembani dembati ngoyo nesu khari imbadi ngon trebayna ani semdi ani lo chinji lo se ki on drogo marta lo chinji lo ke on masona ani chawa kharche badi ani loi ani tobki ro kulung tobki ngazi chawa kharche bayna ya kulung tobki drogo ora da ro kulung somebody bigi 신지 말로 봐지 힘바이나 아니 자와디 신지 말로 봐지 자와디 장부 덴바 야부 제도야지 이거서 당부 시덴바니스 되니 아니 람탑시니스 될 때는 제복군인 저거레스 디다 산지 치우다 비기게 안 수보다 마스는 난기베 아니 닌타오디 침바타오 로타오디 디숨 차고라스로
And so the truth, or being truthful, is a virtuous dharma. And so when we consider that, we can consider that with respect to the common presentation of the dharma, beginning with presenting the basis. The basis, which means the way that things exist, is explained in terms of the two truths, conventional and ultimate truths. It depends upon the basis. We have the two types of paths, the paths of method and the path of wisdom. It depends upon cultivating these two paths, we attain the two results, the two bodies of Buddhas. And so whatever we undertake in a spiritual practice, particularly here as we think about developing that virtuous attitude or virtuous dharma of being honest, being truthful, it has to come under the banner of these three sets of two. The two truths as a basis, the two paths as the path of method and wisdom, and the result, the two bodies of Buddha. And so when we then act in reality in relation to the, or acting on the basis of reality in relation to the way that things exist, the two truths, what we mean to say is that we need to not let a mind become erroneous. If we let an erroneous mind, a mind that is in error, take over, whatever we do, due to that strong motivational force, whatever we do will also become erroneous. And so we want to make sure that we do not let an erroneous state of mind take over, that our motivation is not erroneous. And if that also informs the way that we act, our actions become not in error, not erroneous. Our behavior, our actions become positive, they become truthful, they become honest. And therefore, this practice of the Buddha Dharma, which constitute a basis, the two truths, the path of method of wisdom, and that bring about the result, is the very core, the very heart of the body of the Buddha Dharma. So if you think about the body and the vital organs in the body, the inner organs such as the heart, the lungs, the liver, and so forth, this practice based on truthfulness and honesty on the basis of the two truths is the core of the Buddha Dharma.
어디래 디나니다 안저다 덴바 장부 세저라 장부 디베 개청부 산지 좀 된 디기다 개치 장부 직 쓰기도 하서라 장부 간저 제거를 라운디 만주 사마로게 란신니가로게 대어디고를 누군디고 말했어 소소소게 대어드에 톱당 요래 누가세 톱당 요래스 임바이네야 랑기 디기기 쳐도 셴라 누가테나 아니 셴라 누가테나 장부 말했어 랑기 디지 드비야기 디지기 쳐도 셴라 네버 만들어지 간지 랑기 누가세 쳐도 셴라 네버 만들어지 존나 랑신니가래야 팬통이지 아니 삼로 당고야 되다 산지 조 디송도 하서라 세워메 빌람세 조 디송도 하서라
And so when we speak of truthfulness or honesty, first of all, this is so important, to be honest, to be truthful. Those are the things that the Buddha regarded as utmost important, being honest, being truthful. And so how do we become honest? Well, we recognize that everyone, all living beings are equal, or they're the same in seeking happiness and well-being and wanting to avoid pain and suffering. Not only everyone wants happiness and everyone wants to avoid suffering, everyone has the right for happiness and to avoid suffering. And so when we seek our own happiness at the expense of others, and that for the sake of our own happiness, we harm others, this is not right. It is not right to think that so long as it makes me happy, or so long as I'm well, if others are being harmed along the way, it's okay. This is not right. And so to be honest, to be truthful, is to work on our happiness and well-being without harming others, or at least you can say in the best possible way, to be of benefit both for oneself, but also for the sake of others. So the Buddha spoke of the attitude or the path of non-harmfulness, and this is what it means. So behaving in an honest way. So the path of non-harmfulness, behaving in an honest way, abstaining from harming others, or at best being of benefit to oneself and others.
제 디 간주 두스 때와나다 통 together 대산로 안 잠블린디라야 녀도 참말로 장된 메비왕기 장된기 폰이 아니 녀도 참말레고라서라 랑이 손기 우체도 아니 셴피게 야 네버탄데야 랑기 야컵 손야 체도 아니 롱바 셴 촉점 제대야 다서보다 딘디 짱짱 로고라서라 오늘 섬다와나 아니 장된기 간지 장된기 폰요바디 세우슈즈레스 디자 딘디기 아니 장된기 폰이 아니 녀다 연구요바디 니비토니 아니 장된 가주 투두치 아니 제토와나 수수수산이 가주스 장된 제토와나 디처레스 디 게와레스로 딜을 하지 더 제스기요 말하다 미치근은 딜하지 끼기 제요 말아서라 디 제투야 디 소수산이 소수 장부장장 소수 덴버단장 제투야 디 소수를 톱단요레스 디 제바이나 아니 산점된 디 공부기 최디 디레스라 디레스
And we can see that that not behaving this way, but trying to get a happiness at the expense of others, causes so many problems in the world around us. Being bereft of honesty or truthfulness, wanting to attain something for own profit alone, even if it comes at the expense of others, we can see how it creates problems in the world. So harming others for the sake of protecting oneself, giving rise to so many hard or difficult situations around the world, or destroying other countries in order to protect my country. So if we are bereft of honesty and truthfulness, it causes so many problems around the world. We can see that. And so when we see that, as much as we can, we try to become honest and truthful, at least in our own place, in our own environment, in our own surrounding. This is what we can do. And if we do that, this is a Dharma practice. In that sense, you can say that there's nothing better that we can do, nothing higher than at least being truthful and honest in our surrounding. And so we have the right to be truthful and honest. And if we act in this way, we act in a virtuous way. This is a virtuous Dharma as taught by the Buddha. This is what the Buddha had in mind. This is the intention of the Buddha when he spoke about virtuous Dharmas.
그래서 먼저 단 통과를 단대 마징에 망부시도 통과를 그 잠블리 단대가 폰대엔자 비기다 차당기 시험은 결정입니다. 망부시 통과를 딘 통운디 아니 차당기 시험은 결정인 소리야 닌지 고메레스 단지 콘디시에 대해 닌지 고메레입니다. 닌지 신기요 말이 아니 로 토장 림부기 내손 통구요 말에 쌈다 닌지 고메레스 마도 텔미니 공조당 아니 찍라 공조사 아니 찍라야 아니 생고치 착신체와나 갈래를 수수 마기와지 그러 간지 수수 밥해보 매와지 차야지 모두 심바 가인고요 말했어 가인고마 니자 산기기다 아니 디 니보디 닌지고메야디 그러 닌지고메야디 약시 됐다 닌지 가주스 곰토바나 아니 수수 그러 수수 밥에 붙자그래 소수 년콜도 예비 아니 즉 소차 순전히 그 흘러 차고 그랬다 되다.
And so we can see the world around us and recognize how the affairs of this world are being treated with a lack of honesty and truthfulness. People are around us, or people in the world, you can say, are controlled by anger and attachment. And so for them, we need to cultivate compassion. We cultivate compassion to those who are under the sway of anger and attachment. They do not see reality correctly or precisely. Not only they do not see reality correctly, but also because of those strong forms of anger and attachment, they cannot really see long-term plans in the future to be beneficial long-term plans. So if we don't think about it like that, if we don't cultivate compassion to those who are controlled by anger and attachment, if we become angry at them, or if we maintain a perverse sense of loyalty to those who are dear to our hearts, there's not much that will be attained. There's not much that we'll be able to do. We'll still be involved with a sense of self-interest. And so through the cultivation of compassion, we first of all creating a mind, state of mind that is that is vast and spacious. And that will also have a rippling effect over our surrounding, living beings in our surrounding. When our mind becomes more at ease, more vast and spacious, through the cultivation of compassion, they too will be able to live more comfortably, more at ease.
개위치 줍뉴스 통야 문주바당 다기 텐락 줍 칼은 냠데 심바디 송주 가게레스.
And so we're going to go back to the text and pick up from the point that we left off in the previous session. So we're looking at a presentation of the 6 perfections, of them the perfection of Joyce effort. And so we're going to begin with this section that says there are 2 adverse conditions for Joyce effort, saying that one is able to accomplish virtuous Dharma, but not engaging in it. That's the first one. And the second is the discouragement that thinks, how could I ever accomplish anything like that?
That digi gewichu drumnus tonya munjuba said gewadi chambulasha. Chambu chituge jimbayana 마치는 로자 딘디 용거라 당한들라 덴바치 사진바야냐 덴바 마치버지 아니 준시는 로데야라 소바 딘디 용거라 다 딜레 딘디 용거라서라 양 아니 딘디 덴바치 딘디 탐부지다 게 가니 제투 삼삼 아니 로신줄로 딘디 용거라 다 두수 삼말로 아니 농주그레스 라 농주그레스 먼저 미게 가르 제바이냐 수수 배준 제바나 가르이는 제통행기 니버지기 요라다 밀레 딘디지 요라서라
And so looking at it, this explanation of the two adverse conditions for Joseph, the first one is saying that though we're able to accomplish virtuous Dhamma, we do not do it. We do not engage in that. So we know that we can do it, but we do not engage in it. And so the virtues here is taken to be being honest. So we can all see that we can accomplish an attitude of honesty, but rather than doing that, we lie or we deceive. So that's one type of adverse condition. The second type of adverse condition is thinking, how could I ever do that? How could I ever be or act in an honest way? So this is an erroneous state of mind. Both of them are mistaken states. So we can think, if I put effort into it, I can do it. I can act in an honest way.
Tadini dina khaja varsladi givichu singindi pigita and chashi chigleya jarchinro chashi chigleya jarchin pena tanjishwana pena nge mixma nima takba sago sejo tai ani khashi samgra da ani anda sago yamunda danda lochinjore danda pilega ye ani jema khali sago samsanrochi tindi yonsigira asra o dig sore sungota tambula ni des 다동 롱예 냠디 치셔 제바당스 라 파치양친 자와 상부 강이바디 된칭기 자와디 갑툭래야 주야기 빼키치 모르레 마도 아니 치양 제바이나 아니 자와디 제 마투야기 냥가 빼망부치 제거 당한줄라 만줄 냥가 빼망부 제거한자 디 레로레스 디마레스 데미야 자왕gem바 나올라 착비시기네보스.
And so the first adverse condition is saying that one is able to accomplish virtuous Dhamma, but not engage in it. And so when we look at virtuous Dhammas, we can, and the type of conditions which are adverse to them, we can look at those two parts. Like, for example, Geshe spoke earlier on of his personal practice, reciting the Lamrim Kappa Guru Yoga together with the Mixima verse daily, accumulating a recitation of one mala recitation, one full round of rosary beads. And so someone might think, well, I'm still young at the moment. My priority now is not to do such spiritual practice, but to work as much as I can so that I can earn money. I can do it later, which means that this sense of procrastinating is a condition which is adverse to Joyce effort. And so here the text says, beginning with seeing that one is able to accomplish virtuous Dhamma, but not engaging in it. So this has 2 points. One postpones things, thinking there's still time, or as one is overcome by attachment to bad activities. So thinking that there is still time and not engaging in virtuous Dhamma is quite a dangerous way of thinking. It is dangerous to procrastinate in this way, because though we see that we can do it, at the end we end up not doing it. So this is dangerous.
tel 담보 님분이스 라 디길야 갑딜라 가르삼 거스라디다 무연에서 삼단다지다 아니 루토버 뉴드 지바탄스 시오도 간롤 호마타 당한루 켈레나 말레나 간지 호마탄스 사리안 땐 잠분디니 니가와 숨 공바티 하르텐 순도스
And so seeing that one is able to accomplish virtuous Dharma but not engaging in it has 2 points, as we said. One postpones, the first is one postpones things thinking there's still time. And the second, whereas one is overcome by attachment to bad activities. So let's look at the antidote to the first, thinking that there's still time. So the antidote to that is to meditate on these 3 thoughts. This body that you have obtained will quickly disintegrate. After death, you will fall into the lower rebirth, and it will be difficult to find such a good life once again. This was already taught above. These 3 points in our meditation that were taught above are 3 points that we use in order to counteract procrastination and thinking that there is still time.
Telda bena tamani gochin shebainas ra nganzu milaya kariorsla digi socha shenda mandavagi namju di katsu sigi yagi tangbayina ya ane tameba tangyo deagi mil namju jores the dikhichu zior the sanjik shonle dikhichu ranganzu migi mancha dojigi thoyalaya rangi namju yagi tangyan tida penju yagi tangyan nimbudi penju yagi tangyan di khichero zigora daro tutsu mancha di penju yagi tangyan tangyan mado susu namju yagi tangyan ya tutsu tangyan penyu nyorada the penju yagi tangyan nganzol penju gogu yorda inaya katsusugi pigilaya penju chani digi susulaya ani katsusugi pen tokda matosadi yasa yadamba labatu wajirwada namju katsusugi yagi tangwa di dagarangi susulaya pengi yoba tiyoresra da dini kiawang hashi kenlendingi jimbayna ani kiawani kiawa gyuni ro dandi tendelaya namju yagi tangshawa di kiawani kiawa gyuni ani penya jik chagores ro da penjo di tendelaya pena penre dini ro savijila ani su pejo cheyo kawalandro karcha sosula penya di da gyacha gyani gyacha gupchu kogu da ca gupchu kogu da mepenya wadi kiawa chimala mepenya wadi da dirwasra o dinji samlo tani ani kichewa di namju yagi tangala ya ziores ro.
So thinking of these 3 contemplations which are mentioned in this section and working from back to front. So it says the 3 contemplations, the body that you have obtained will quickly disintegrate. After death, you will fall into the lower rebirth, and then it will be difficult to find such a good life once again. And so when we think of ourselves as human beings, comparing ourselves with other living beings, we can recognize that the special feature that we have as human beings is wisdom, is intelligence that can be developed limitlessly. As human beings, our wisdom, our intelligence can be developed limitlessly, and this ability doesn't exist in other form of living beings. And so when we see that potential for developing, for improving our wisdom, for improving our intelligence, if we then choose not to do so, in that when we look at roughly the type of activities that we can engage with, so we can spend this lifetime in pursuing the improving in our money, financial situations, and so forth, or to put an emphasis on developing and improving our intelligence. Since as most people, for most of their life, are interested in putting a lot of effort in developing, in finding wealth, or money, developing their financial situation, and so few people see the development of intelligence as being of utmost importance, so few. But then when we compare the benefit of these 2, wealth, the improvement of wealth or financial situation versus the improvements of our wisdom or intelligence, well, of course, we can say that if we acquire wealth or money, it can be of some help, some benefit. We can think about it to what degree can it be beneficial? But then when we think of the degree to which wisdom can be beneficial, there's no doubt, there's no qualm with respect to how useful and beneficial it can be for us in this life. Not only that, but also when we think of the succession from life to life. In that, at least from a Buddhist perspective, we think or we agree that we believe in we trust in the existence of past and future lifetimes. So when we think of the transitioning from one lifetime to the next and then to the one after that, and all through that, the development of wisdom can be carried with us from one lifetime to the next. And therefore, to improve our wisdom can be helpful. Whereas when we think about it in relation to our financial affairs, to our wealth, well, even if we acquire some degree of wealth in this life, upon passing away, we cannot really know who's going to obtain what we've accumulated in this life, how it's going to be distributed, and so forth. So we can say that to a great degree, maybe 90% degree, whatever we've acquired in this life, wealth and so forth, it will not be of help in future lives. It will be left behind, it will be distributed, given away, and so forth. It will not help us in future lives, but what will help us is the development of our wisdom, the development of our intelligence. And therefore, of these two, wealth or wisdom, the important aspect is wisdom, the development of our own wisdom.
Terda rangi namju yagi tangshawa di and sukhangi ra sukhangi that trauma to yach suchig trauma to yach ra and susu kalan dranaya and care you the dichagora the nguyura the pen dojin by na pen yanga saurenda ra kazi duntang emadele ya tanda Varanasi chog UP sasatilera UP laya gyaganalo UP laya ani konzu mamangi misegi tachi garden sort of saja tomba chilaya ani konzu tsokba jikiro company jiki kamba toxi chembu shuji ni langdo pesi toxi kamba jiglaya toxi shibjung ab chese tindi ni langdo lang konzu logo la pesi chedo da tindi mangi timle tu tim mang sajares kazi nimas some shijman romasara and that timdo ni kejishi tamadele company the tim church and any shung torso tor digi seging golaya kamba toxing torso seging gona but did it roger that benjo rodandi nyanga did it roger that.
And so our wisdom, our intelligence, this is something that no one will be able to take away from us. We can take our wisdom, the type of wisdom, being smart, that type of wisdom, no one can take it away, but we will be able to take it with us wherever we go. It's not the same with wealth or possessions and so forth, is it? They can be taken away from us. So Geshe just seen one report that came from India. So India has different states. One of them is UP and Varanasi. Those of you who are familiar with India, Varanasi is in UP. And Geshe saw a report about a company building illegally a couple of skyscrapers with 40, 50 floors in a public space that was designated for growing vegetation or growing vegetables or what have you. Anyway, they illegally built those two high-rise buildings, and they were taken to court. The court case was dragging for some time, but then the court has ruled and they ordered those two buildings to be demolished. So they were demolished, and the whole thing took 9 seconds. So if we think of all the resources or efforts that went into constructing those two massive buildings, they were gone in 9 seconds.
There's the Dina Pedi di Charo da Ra. The she said, Ding on the Yong Bajra da Ra. And it chigi 아니 거바이나 지게요리 아니 장기 류이나 도래요리다 아니 실세야든 이즈들이 디고 칭이지로 와서 아니 류 토바 뉴튼 직세야티 랑안조기 어딘지데 딘지 토네 상무다니 아니 개체슈데 남주디 야기 땅고야디 토라야다 베준 제바나 데디 준주레스 디 추레스 디 게와레스 어디를 쓴 것도스라
But not only that, also in overcoming that sense of procrastination, as the text suggests, we also think of death. We think of death in that it says the body that you have obtained will quickly disintegrate. So our body ages. And at the end, we will get to a deathbed. So it might happen sooner or later. So the body quickly disintegrates, as the text says, and we then use that to overcome procrastination. And when we do so, as the text says, this is a virtuous dharma. This is Joyce's effort.
같이 கொஞ்சம் 직시해요.
That's all. And so maybe we'll pass it on to you guys. Yeah. And so we have also some people attending the sessions from home. And I was wondering if you're happy to take the mic and say a few words on the mic. So could you tell me, please, from which museum? Which one? Queensland Museum. Would you like to? Yeah. Would you like to come forward, please? If you're comfortable with that. And if you're not comfortable with that, we'll make you come forward. Here. Would you like a chair or? All right. Yeah, sure. Yeah, please.
Good one.
First of all, I just want to introduce you to my colleague, Deepa Hassan, who is our Senior Curator of Destination Collections. My name is Karen Kint, and I work as a collection manager for Destination Culture Museum. We're here today because we wanted to come to the community to let them know about our First Nations cultures Tibetan collection that we have at the museum. Now, we come from Queensland Museum. For those of you who don't know, we're based in Brisbane.
The microphone's not on.
That's all right. Yep.
Based in Brisbane, at South Brisbane. And I want to tell you a little story about why we did this as well. Quite recently, we had posted to us in a big postal cylinder. Came to us came to us without any knowledge of this team that had been who had owned it. And it posed a problem for us because at the museum we could just without doing understanding the problems we must understand who legally owns this object. Why is it being used? And why is it used without any understanding who may have built it previously? We don't know that. We can't keep it in the because we don't have the right to keep it in the we don't legally own it, and we don't own it in an ethically way. And so we will have Lamrim. What do we do with this team? this which was I personally thought maybe we think about patriarchy, sending it back towards untitled. And then I thought, oh, maybe I get a trip to Tibet.
If you need help, I can come.
Thank you. Georgie, can you give me your card? You can come. Thank you. Thank you so much. I can do this. Thank you so much. 로버팅이 가다시다 않았어.
Would you also like to come over and Geshe could present you a kata? So this kata is traditional Tibetan scarf, and when we offer kata, is a token of having pure intention, genuine intention. So they come in different designs and different colors, and it's all token of appreciation and honesty.
Thank you so much. 이 같이나?
So can we open the tanka? It's like unwrapping Christmas presents. Yeah. Yeah.
Great joy to be able to give us that. And we're hoping that we can have a dialogue going forward and possibly just to visit us at just to what to
Oh, that's be wonderful. All right. So you're located next to Goma, right? Yeah. All right. All right. So the Ropaway. Okay. It does seem like an old tanka. Japan. Thank you. Yeah, you can come forward and you can have photos. Dila Tesco di canso di Sunganyam do Pachigam.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, after that, right? Is it?
Thank you.
Thank you. How's my hair? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And so thank you very much. We will finish off this session with the final Lamrim prayer. All right. For my two collections, vastest space that have amassed from working with effort that is practiced for a great length of time. May I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose mind's wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of complete graded path of the teachings, may I please all the Buddhas by my practice. Using skillful means strong by the strong force of compassion. May I clear the darkness on the minds of all beings with the points of the path if I discern them. May I uphold Buddha's teaching for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time by even this graded path of enlightenment, completed due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons. May all human and non-human beings eliminate adversity and create conducive conditions for practicing the excellent paths. Never departed in any of the lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtues practices, may he always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may ocean of prosperity spread everywhere. Thank you. Dila punangla rombachi yore New Zealand. Dila kalana